Welcome. I'm Michael Rendell. I lead PwC's Global HR Consulting practice, and I'm joined today by Jon Andrews, who leads our UK HR Consulting practice, and Rohit Talwar, who's a futurist. And we're talking about the future of work. What's the world of work going to feel like in 10 to 15 years' time? And today we're going to focus on the enterprise. What's the purpose of the enterprise? And in particular, what is the purpose of employing people? Have people become commodities? We hear lots of talk about zero-hour contracts, temporary workers, people working for a day and doing nothing more. How do you create an enterprise and how do you create employment in that sort of environment? Jon.
Well, I think that the concept of an enterprise could be very different in 10 to 15 years' time. There's one possible future we've got where organisations become much smaller. They become based on a network of contracted employees who may not be an employee but may be sitting in organisations outside of the enterprise. They may only use them precisely for the time at which they need them. And the core of the enterprise could be technology, for example. So the vast majority of everything done is driven by decision-making technology or by production-based technology. So in the future, it could be a very different thing when we look at the enterprise.
So Rohit, you won't need an HR department, you'll just be managing this commodity, which is people. How does that feel?
Well, I think what we'll see is a spectrum emerge. At one end, we'll see those companies that believe the future lies in a highly technological model where there's very few employees and everything is automated and run by intelligent systems. But that actually might make the company quite hard to differentiate in the marketplace. At the other end of the spectrum, we could see people choosing to go the other way, where HR becomes even more important because they want a vibrant culture. They want to bring together diverse people who can be creative, be imaginative, and be adaptive to a changing world. So we could see that entire spectrum. And as individuals, it's very likely that most of us will migrate towards the employee-led cultures. It also raises the question of, if we're all moving to the fully automated model, then who's got the responsibility for actually creating employment and providing the money that we'll be spending on the goods and services that are being produced by the robots?
Jon, that's an interesting point that we talked there about having people in employment because they create wealth. Talk a little bit about how you see that emerging.
Well, it could be that the centre of the way in which employees come together and the way in which they find employment may shift outside of the enterprise and into guilds, for example. So we might have a world where the emphasis is placed upon not the employer, but the employees coming together, but creating a community where there's learning, where there's innovation, and where they sell that learning and innovation into various different organisations. So a very different world which is kind of more the employee driving their own employment rather than the employer.
Sounds a bit like Renaissance Italy. What do you think of that? We're stepping back 500 years, is that right?
Well, imagine Renaissance Italy where everybody had an iPhone. How fast would it develop and how much more different would it be today if that had been the case?
That's a pretty intriguing thought, isn't it, right?
Well, imagine Renaissance Italy as well, where everyone had a 3D printer in their community. So actually when we needed goods, we didn't go to a manufacturer to produce them. We just printed them locally on demand, or we designed what we wanted. We could see some very different models for how we organise. People are talking about the maker economy, where more and more of us are making things and trading them. And maybe actually we'll see things like money playing a less and less role because we're trading more and more activity between us. And we're earning credits from each other, which we can then use with other people. We're almost getting to the point where it's a complete mind shift that's required for the version 2 of our world that could emerge post the kind of rate of technological change that we're seeing right now.
Jon, Rohit, thank you very much. An inspiring vision there of the possible future world of work and what we've got to do as employers to prepare for that. Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more, please go to our website, Future of Work. Thank you.